a session this morning, sparring, a couple more sparring sessions to go, but we're in great shape. Weight's good, fitness is good, feeling nice and fresh and sharp. Couldn't ask for anything else.
You know Jamie COX well, obviously known him for a long time, but you think he's too small, simply too small for super middleweight. Is that still how you feel as the fight approaching?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a lot of things to contend with, Jamie. One being the size. You know, he turned professional at lightweight or welterweight a long time ago, and obviously he's had to bulk up to get up to the super middleweight sort of division. I have to sort of boil down to make the weight. People say that, you know, that's a hindrance for you, but I think I've got not just height, reach, natural size, strength, all advantages that he's going to have to contend with. So yeah, he's got it all to do, but that's just one of many things.
You've, like I say, you know him a long time. You were on England squads together, and I believe he was your roommate. Could you tell us a bit about that sort of time? Yeah,
so we both boxed for it was just England then, before it became sort of GB. Trained together down at Crystal Palace and places like that. We've roomed together before in the past. You know, we've been on multinational tournaments. He was. We never done any sparring because he was always a lot lighter than me. He was fighting at 64 kilos at 75. So we know each other in that respect. And yeah, you know, he was a good lad, fit lad, trained hard, aggressive, had success at the junior level, and then was sort of quickly moved up to the seniors, went to the Commonwealth Games, won gold, and then turned professional. Professional career as so far he's unbeaten, but hasn't boxed at sort of the highest level like he had as an amateur. So you know, this is his chance. I'm sure he'll believe that he wants to make this step up, but he's had a long time sort of without a competitive fight, which is not good at all, especially in the professional game. So you know, I've always had competitive fights, and even down to my last fight, winning the world title against Fedor Chudinov. Brilliant fight for me, a fight that sort of put me in fantastic form going into this tournament. A real test, you know. He had a real sort of life and death with, you know, on that undercard. He won on a cut in the end, but he really struggled. He didn't look good. He's aware of that. He's probably hoping that, you know, I'll fixate on that. But there's not that much footage of him looking that good online anyway. So the bits I've seen, it's a bit ropey. We're preparing for the very best Jamie COX that can be possible, maybe better than he actually is. After that fight, after the draw, after he knew he was boxing me, he even went off to Barcelona to sort of get another little warm-up fight in against called the Box Regs, someone, no hope, a journeyman, someone I ain't heard of, but a bigger lad. Probably hope to see what it feels like to sort of move around with a bigger lad. Obviously won, but again, they're the sort of fights, if that was me, I see that as a detriment to my preparations, you know what I mean? Like, it's not even a glorified spar, you know. It gives you no indication of where you're at or assessment of the task at hand. You know, he's fighting for a world title now, and that's a big thing. It's a real big thing, especially when you've never been in that situation before, when your team hasn't, when your trainer hasn't, when you're fighting on the big stage, when there's more money than ever on the line. These are all added pressures that some people cope with, some people don't. His trainer is sort of fixated on the fact that, you know, I had a couple of failed world title attempts, and that, you know, I was lucky maybe in my last fight, which seems to be the only one who believes that, and you know, I've choked before, but it's not quite as it was. Obviously, everyone knows, everyone who's seen me fight knows the situations that they were in, but what's totally different for me now is that I'm in a winning environment with a winning team, with a fantastic coach, and since then we've gone strength to strength. In the last 18 months, the last 5 fights, It's 3 knockouts, a world title. Each fight has got progressively better. The opposition's gone up, and I say I feel I'm the informed fighter in my division in this tournament. So I'm looking forward to going out and strike my stuff, getting that first win under my belt, and defending my world title.
What was he like as a roomie? Did he have any bad habits?
No, he was alright. He was good. He was pretty quiet. He was clean. He had good hygiene. He was alright. We spoke when we were pals, but it was a long time ago. I can't remember anything in particular that stood out. But no. Good enough lad. Nothing against him as such. You know what I mean, I ain't picked him because you know he didn't put the toilet seat down, or he left his wet towel on my bed or something. Nothing personal, just business.
Obviously, there's been a big sort of change in the dynamic in the gym recently with Carl Frampton split with Shane and Cyclone altogether. First of all, were you as surprised as the rest of us when that whole departure, that split took place? Yeah,
I mean, it happened really quickly. Once that fight fell through, obviously, that's the last time I've seen Carl. I texted him a couple of times after just to say, how you doing, mate? I know that whatever he's going through must be stressful, and if you fancy the chat or something, you know, and a bit of texting back and forth, but he's decided that he's moving on, and it's something that I couldn't possibly want to get involved in. Do you know what I mean? It must be a near the bone sort of situation. He's definitely close to the McGuigans, and for whatever reason he's decided to part ways, and it's sad, but that's boxing. The show must go on. From a selfish point of view, all I require is Shane to do his job for me right now, and fortunately for me, he's doing a fantastic job. Whether he's stressed out about the Frampton situation or he hasn't shown it, but I think he's doing well. He's on point in the gym, and he's got some great fighters in the gym. We're all boxing, we're all training hard, so it's keeping everyone busy. And as I say, it's boxing, you know, like I've been through a few turbulent times, a few messy breakups, a few caught, like, you know, board appearances, and you know, stuff like that. It can be demoralising, it can be draining, but the total opposite to that right now is that I'm in a situation where my future, immediate future at least, is mapped out. You know, I've got 3 fights in 10 months, providing I win, providing I stay injury free, healthy, and providing I've got Shane on my side, which is, he knows that, and he's fully committed to it. He's enjoying training with me. I'm enjoying working with him, and we're ready to go on and take it to the next level. You know,
for so long, the focus, Shane's focus, and he would always admit it, Carl Frampton was the top guy in the gym. Obviously, they've been through a lot together. Now he's gone. In a strange sense, does it mean he's more time for you now? Does it work in that way at all?
I mean, when I started working with Shane, Frampton was a world champion, and Shane had taken on Hay and me. And Hay done a lot of his punching sessions at his own gym. I would sort of come and train with Shane at his gym. But Shane's one of them trainers who always dedicates a lot of time, one-on-one time, to his fighters, because that's how he trains, that's what he likes to do. So you'll do a lot of pad work with him, individual pad work. He's always there to watch and give instructions and that for my sparring sessions. So he does that for everyone. So it wasn't like he's now taking time away from someone else to give it to me, or vice versa. That's not the impression that I ever got. So whether you got Chris Smith in the gym, who's had his first pro fight, he's out again on my undercard. Again, the same. He gets his pad work with Shane when he needs it. He gets, you know, when he's sparring, Shane's there to cover it. You know, Shane ain't out doing something else because he's got other commitments. So that's just not the way I sort of see it. You know, I just see it as we're all in gym, we're all fighters. Shane's the trainer. You got Josh Pritchard, who's like the sort of the assistant coach. He helps out in the gym. Daryl, who's in the gym doing strength with him. So everyone's got their role, everyone's got their job, everyone does it. We all get the time that we need, and everyone gets on. So it's great. I mean, even while Carl was in, he did seem a bit deflated in the build-up to his last camp that obviously didn't become a fight. He seemed a little bit deflated, and I never got to talk to him too much about it. Just other than how you feel and stuff like that. But I assume that was because it was the first fight back after his loss. You know, I remember my training camp for the Rasse fight after getting knocked out at Wembley Stadium was depressing. It was horrible. It was awful. I just had to grind my way through it. And I thought maybe that's where Carl was at with his sort of in his mindset, in his situation. Maybe he was, but obviously there's other stuff to it as well. But the gym's going great. The gym's thriving. Let's say I'm in a great position myself personally, in that I have a sort of a clear path. Change been great. So selfishly, I'm winning.
Just briefly on another one of the Brits in the quarterfinals, Callum Smith, who is into the semi-finals now, beat Eric Skoglund. I'm not sure what the bookies say at the moment, but there was a point when he was the favourite, even above you, even though you were top seed, to win the whole thing. Having seen him in action against Eric Skoglund and booking his place in the semi-final, do you see him as the main threat in the super middleweight tournament?
We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, he's the only super middleweight to have fought so far. For a lot of people, it wasn't the convincing win that they thought. They probably thought he was going to blow Skoglund away. He let his hands go early on, and he seemed like he got a bit of a damage to his nose or something. Skoglund gave a real good account of himself, was landing his jab well, probably started a bit too slow, and got caught up near the end and took a knee, and then the fight was sort of beyond his reach after that. But up until then, he was probably still in with a shout. It wasn't the sort of convincing win that would sort of stake your flag in the ground saying I'm the number one who's going to beat me. So I wouldn't have said that would push him to be even more favourite. Until we see all the quarterfinals, then they'll be able to assess. But Callum's a good fighter. He's had some good wins. He's had some laboured wins. You know, he's performed well in the past, and he's had some sort of really sort of where he's had to maybe not so much dig deep, but he just hasn't been on point. That's probably down to frustration for not getting the fights or the opportunities that he believes he's deserving of. But now he's in the tournament. Now he's just won the WBC belt, or a version of it. So, and there's a lot more at stake for him, a lot more for him to gain. So we'll see if he can be on point, on top form. I think after all the quarterfinals have come through, I don't think he's going to be the bookies' favourite anymore. But we might see a few upsets in the process. So far, every seeded fighter has won their fight. So by the time I fight, maybe that'll still be the case. I'm certainly going to be the seeded fighter to win, but maybe there'll be a few other sort of surprises. Yeah.
Obviously, the week before, Chris Eubank, who is a third seed, fights Avner Yildirim in Stuttgart. Avner Yildirim's been kind of billed a bit as the dark horse and certainly a bit of a handful. Do you think Eubank's up against it there? Could you see him going out with it in the quarterfinal?
Well, there's a lot of sparring stories about Yildirim. As in he gives a real good of account of himself. He looks like a big, strong guy. He fights that way. Eubank, I think, anyone who can do middle or super middleweight probably means they're a middleweight. He's a guy who's always in shape. But once you get to the highest level, it's not so bad to get fat in between fights. You know, you don't put on 3-4 stone, but if you put on a bit of fat, it helps with your immune system. It helps with your with your improvements. You know, once you start a new camp, whether that be strength gains, whether it be other things like that. If you're close to the bone, like when I met Skoglund at the draw, and he told me he was 82 kilos, I was thinking, well, you got it all wrong, mate. You know, surely I know you've got to come down a weight class this time, but don't be on your weight already, because it's not the way to do it. You want to peak for a fight, you know. We'll see whether Eubank's whether that works for him. Yildirim looked very heavy. He'll be boiling himself down to middleweight limit, and therefore he might be very heavy on the night. And if he's going to be busy, if he's going to let his hands go, if he's going to pressurise Eubank, he's not going to get away with the breathers in between the showboating and letting go 10-15 punch combinations where only 3 are going to go through, because it's all wasting energy. You've got to be punch selective. He did that a little bit with Abraham, but when he boxed Abraham throws 2 punches around. You could do that, you know.
Presumably, because you're fighting the winner, you want Eubank to win. That'd be a huge fight.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like Eubank to win, but it doesn't make too much of a big difference to me. Do you know what I mean? It'll be good fun in the build-up, because it'll be a bit spicy. It'll be good engaging with the fans. I think it'll be great for the tournament. But if Yildirim gets through, I quite fancy that fight as well. Obviously, I'm not even gonna watch that fight. I'm just gonna concentrate on Jamie COX. Once I've won, then we'll know who we're fighting in the final, in the semis, and then we'll make the adjustments for Camden then.
Let's ask you about the TV issue. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your fight against Jamie COX would be on pay-per-view, and same as Eubank against Yildirim. Now, do you think it's a shame in a way that you two in your quarterfinals won't be on free-to-air, terrestrial, or to a bigger audience, in terms of looking ahead to a semi-final between the two? Because you would think if the pair of you on free-to-air TV, a semi-final would then be colossal. A bit kind of like when his old man was boxing, he was on ITV and whatever else. So do you feel like it'd be better for you, for the sport, for British boxing, if those fights were on free-to-air? How do you kind of stand on it, being a boxer yourself?
Yeah, I mean, any boxing free-to-air is good for boxing, you know. But to be honest, it's not anything to do with me whether it's on pay-per-view, whether it's on ITV4, ITV2, ITV1, whether they cancel X Factor for it, you know. If it had any other bearing on me, apart from Instagram followers, you know, I might be able to give a bit of an honest account, but the truth is, it's way out of my hands, and I think the TV rights belong to a company, and they've made the decision. I think they've made the decision for ITV that they want to put it on pay-per-view. It's the future, I suppose. Do you know what I mean? They're going to have to start paying for more and more boxing. You know, whether it be streaming it on YouTube, whether it be paying for it for ITV box office, Sky BoxNation box office. Everyone wants to crack at it. I think ITV are in a fantastic position that they've got some big names that they can do it. I suppose they're thinking about the gamble. Do they put it on free to air and then make more money in the semis, hoping that me and Eubank both win? If we don't, then they've probably missed an opportunity beforehand to come in with a lighter pay-per-view. I think the price of it is £10, so it's essentially half price. I might be wrong, but obviously if it was me versus Eubank, you can imagine that would have been double the price. But to be honest, it's great that people have the opportunity to watch the fight more than anything. You know what I mean? If you pay for it, you know what I mean? So bad.
Just one final one. Your old mate James DeGALE is back punching again after his operation on his shoulder. Do you think the division, it's going to be good for the division to have him back fit again? Good for British boxing to have that, and certainly for the weight class to have that belt active and being competed for again?
Oh, definitely. You want all the belts involved. You want, you know, he's an established world champion now. He's won the belt and he's defended it. So, you know, you want him back in action. Whether he'll be fit to fight in December, like he says, I don't know. My mates see him partying in Ibiza last week, so you don't do that if you're about to fight in December. You know, we're already pushing October, so we'll wait and see. It'd be good, definitely good to have him back. He doesn't want to spend too long out in the ring because he's getting on a bit. He's had some rough house, tough fights. The body's starting to fail him. So he's had some electric surgeries. But I don't know what his plan will be. You know, whether he's got someone in mind. He's talking about fighting the winner of the tournament. I'm going to win a tournament, and he better still have that belt at the end of it. Otherwise, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's definitely great to have him back, have the belt back in action, and have a champion back fighting.
A lot of fans, British boxing fans, are desperate to see it again. As one of the main protagonists in the fight, do you feel the same? Is it a fight that you look forward to? Is it a fight that excites you and that you want to have again, or is it something that's kind of just another option?
I mean, once I've won the tournament, which, you know, I've got a lot of work to do before I get there, but I truly believe I'll do it. You know, I could quite possibly have 3 British affairs be a unified, although just a version of WBC, and a version of WBA, a unified world champion. Would have earned a few quid, and then it's like, okay, well, who wants it? You know, like, everyone's going to be gunning for me, and what is the best options? Have to wait and see whether fighting James DeGALE will be one of them, but it only takes a short amount of thinking where I think, yeah, why not? We'll give it a go. Like, yeah, I mean, if I say, nah, I'm going to retire, people that know me best go, no you won't. So what do you want to fight James DeGALE for? I've beat him twice already. And they went, yeah you do, you want to fight him? And I go, yeah I do. But it would just be fun. It would be fun. Got to win this Ali Trophy first, win the tournament, and then the fun begins. So we'll have to wait and see, wait and assess then. See if he's still about. He might retire by then himself.